Hello there! This is LEGO Dynasty, and today I'm bringing you guys my review of the LEGO Star Wars Clone Trooper and Battle Droid Battle Pack. It is set number 75372 because with 215 pieces and is rated ages 7 and up. Now this set retails in the United States for $29.99 and in Canada for $39.99, which is the exact same price as the 2020 501st Clone Trooper Battle Pack, the original sort of Super Battle Pack as we've kind of come to call it, where obviously they're charging a little bit more than they would for a normal battle pack, but you get a little bit more for it. Now, there are some relative differences between this battle pack and the 2020 battle pack, but the concept is still basically the same. Now, without further ado, let's kick off this review, starting with the box. As you can see, box shows the Battle of Christophsis, which, if you want to get into nitty-gritty, obviously, as far as we know, didn't take place with the clones in Phase 2 armor. It only happened near the beginning of the war, so a little bit inaccurate there, I guess, but that's only if you're really going to nitpick the set. I really like the box art itself. It's just obviously not something we saw in any medium, but not to say that there couldn't have been another fight on Christophsis later on when the clones did have Phase 2 armor. We just, as far as we know, when we first saw Christophsis was during the Clone Wars movie, and they were in their Phase 1 armor. So, with that being said, as you can see as I flip the box around, you can see some very nice detail with all the figures battling it out. You can see the stat flying around there, which looks very cool. The clones fighting against the droids there. So overall, pretty nice to get as many figures as we get. Of course, LEGO technically wouldn't count the battle droids or super battle droids as minifigures, but in this case they sort of are, just, you know, because they're added to the set, especially with the return of the super battle droids. Very exciting for that. Now there is 2 manuals included in this set, which is pretty nice, so you could split up the build if you wanted to. The set itself is divided into 3 separate bags, which is pretty interesting. So you build the clone sets and the stamp in the first manual, and then you build the spider or octodroid in the second manual, basically. There is advertisement of the only 2 January sets, which is the Crimson Firehawk 4+ set, which is incredibly overpriced, and then also the Clone Trooper Battle Pack, which again, this will probably be the exact same, you know, promotional image in the Crimson Firehawk set. They just added to both sets, which is kind of funny, especially when you have sets that are really just, you're only going to pick up one. With the Battle Pack, you know, you're probably more likely to army build this set and try and get more of the set. Now, before we get into the minifigures, I would show off the extra pieces that are included in this set. As you can see, you're left with an extra droid arm, some other nice parts, some studs for the stud shooters that are used, and just a nice mix of other, you know, Technic pieces, little 1x1s, studs, etc. So overall, pretty nice. Always nice to get extra pieces, and as you can see, quite a nice assortment of extra pieces included in the set like this. You're also left with an extra pistol, which you could give to one of the clone troopers. Now we'll take a look at our first character, which is the Shock Trooper. Now this is the exact same Shock Trooper that we got in the Coruscant Guard gunship, so pretty exciting there, I guess. Nice to see them adding more of these. Now, of course, me personally, not a fan of the helmet holes on Shock Troopers. Only feel like Commander Fox could have used the helmet hole variant of the helmet because he has a visor, and while Shock Troopers you could add the visors to, we never see any others really with them other than, you know, commanders like Commander Thorn, Commander Fox, etc. So that's just my opinion of it. I really wish LEGO would use both molds in cases like these. But if you're not, you know, annoyed by the helmet holes, you probably don't care that you can place visors, etc. on it. I find it very interesting that they do this and then don't give you the accessories in this set. Now, of course, if you got in any other battle packs, you're going to have a lot of them, but I still would have liked, just since it is the helmet holes, them to include, you know, black versions of the, you know, visors and antenna pieces, because I don't believe we've gotten any of those. We've gotten orange or blue, so we haven't gotten any black ones recently, and I just think it would have made a lot of sense. It would have kind of merged this set, being a reference to the 2007 battle packs, and then also the 2009 Clone Trooper battle pack with the Clone Wars style armor that originally had those pieces included. So that's just my opinion. But the overall Shock Trooper, I think the printing on the torso and legs, outstanding. Helmet, overall, printing looks decent. I just, again, wish the helmet hole was just in this one hole rather than them having to add a second hole. Still don't understand how they weren't able to make that work, but apparently they weren't. Our next character is 3 of the regular Phase 2 Clone Troopers, which everyone has been asking for. Again, also comes with the Phase 2, or the helmet hole helmet there, but the torso and legs is actually going to be the exact same as what we got with the Clone Command Station pack for the Phase 1 style Clone Troopers, as LEGO has sort of merged the styles because they want all the clones to be consistent. Personally, I liked when there were variants from Episode 2 Clone Wars and Episode 3 version of Clone Troopers. I guess they did some testing and people didn't like all the variants of the Clone Troopers, so they wanted it to be consistent. This is a case where I don't like that consistency personally, but I still think the torso and legs look pretty good, and the helmet. Overall, very nice to get a Phase 2 regular Clone Trooper, which we haven't gotten since 2014, which is kind of crazy. Now our next character we'll take a look at is one of these Super Battle Droids, which again you get 3 of. Now we haven't gotten one of these, I believe, as well since 2014, maybe 2015 is when that set that he was in retired, but I believe it was the Hailfire Droid set. So overall, pretty exciting to have these characters. Rumor is basically the original mold for this Super Battle Droid ended up going out of production, and they just didn't make a new one until, obviously, for this set. So we should expect them to take advantage, and I would expect any like clone or droid sets to include at least one of these guys going forward, just to make use of the mold. So pretty exciting. Now, last time I had Super Battle Droids, obviously there was a lot of issues with over time wear and tear, the arms and leg pieces snapping and breaking. First impressions, obviously, I don't play with my Lego like I did when I was, 12, 13, or even younger than that, essentially. So I don't know if these are going to break. On first impressions, though, they did feel stiffer, which, like, placing the parts on, maybe I'm crazy, but it did feel like it was more secure. So I think it might be fixed, but we're really not going to know until it starts getting reported regularly happening in like 3 or 4 years. Because for me, it did, like, I had a couple of them break, but not all of them did, and it was just variance. So it was hard to say. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if these do eventually break. Like, it's just especially with wear and tear in play. But overall, I do feel on first impression it should be more secure, and hopefully it happens less. But I'm not gonna like play with this like I would when I was younger, so I'm probably not gonna have that same issue that I did. Forgot to mention, there is only really one main difference, I feel, from this mold compared to the old one, and that's this nice little indent meant to represent how they see, I believe. So it's the one difference from the older style mold that is easily visible. The rest is pretty standard. You got the blaster arm there, and yeah, it just looks really excellent though. Really exciting, and I guess it is a slightly different color as well. I think this is more of a gunmetal silver compared to what it was before, when it was more gray, I believe. Admittedly, my Super Battle Droids are sort of packed away, so I haven't been able to compare it, but overall, really exciting to see these guys again. And our next character is regular B1 Battle Droids, and you get 2 of them. One of them is on the snaps, which I will leave on, but overall, pretty standard Battle Droid. Nice to get it included. Taking a look at the actual set parts, we'll take a look at the snap first. As the Battle Droid, I don't know why I keep calling them Super Battle Droids, does have a slight difference where it has this clip to hold his weapon there, and also has the 2, arms like this, so it can hold on to the snap itself, which is pretty nice. Now, of course, you can organize him a little bit differently, so He looks like he's, flying a little bit differently, I guess. But you can play around with it, obviously. Pretty fun there. Nice to get a stab. And again, we haven't had one of these for a while. One of the things that probably could have been included in the 501st Clone Trooper Battle Pack, but it wasn't. And definitely nice to see the droids now have more of a fighting chance. And this is definitely the build that I think is... This might honestly be the best build in the set, in my opinion. Which might be sad to some people, but I just think the stab is, really good. But could have used an actual sticker piece, or more preferably a printed piece here, just to add some extra detail, like we've had in the past with stickers on this bottom part, but they didn't end up including that. Still, pretty nice standard stab, and definitely, like if you're going to get a bunch of, you might want to, make different builds of these parts, but I think the stamp will be standard. Everyone will want to just have a solid armada of stamps, especially since we know those were heavily used throughout the Clone Wars. The next part of the set we will take a look at is the Tri-Droid here, and overall I think this droid works quite well and is actually pretty good in scale with your characters, as I believe this Tri-Droid is only meant to, in canon, be about 8 feet tall. So overall, it is pretty close to minifigure scale in that sense. There are other versions that are meant to be like 24 feet tall, which would really tower over the clone troopers. But in this case, this is actually accurate to canon, which is pretty nice. I definitely think it's unique. Haven't had something like this since the Utapau clone troopers with the 212 clone troopers back in the day. But I still think this one's pretty decent. Is all I can say about it. It does have some flick fire missiles, which fire okay, but you have to like hold it, as you can see, because if you try and do it like that, you'll lose stuff. And then I knock off the helmet or the top of the droid, which, funny enough, sort of seems to have a brain there with that purple part there. I wonder if that's intentional or not. So something to keep in mind is if you're going to use the flick fire missiles, you have to hold it. And it's still knocking off that part. It's definitely, your typical battle pack build, not the strongest build at all, but definitely works okay, I guess. Definitely feel like it could have been a bit more stable if it had some more parts, some different part usage, but in the end, this is what they came up with. Now our next build is basically what we had in the 2007 Clone Trooper Battle Pack, which was the first battle pack, along with the 2007 Droid Battle Pack, that were released. So this is a nice homage to it. And overall, the builds in this set are far worse than the 2007 Battle Pack, which is kind of sad, because normally you expect, over time things would be improved, but especially this speeder, man, like, unfortunately, don't have those sets built anymore. I only had one, so those are long gone. I lost most of those clone troopers, unfortunately. I might have one left from that era. But I absolutely loved that set when it first came out, and including the speeder. And I just think this speeder itself is just a complete downgrade. Now, it has some things going for it. Like, I like the inclusion of the newer stud shooters. I think it is a needed inclusion in a set like this. But the overall look of this speeder bike, just to me, it's such a downgrade, especially even if you look at the 501st Battle Pack speeder. It's just like, yeah, most Battle Packs don't have builds to write home about, but the 2020 501st Clone Trooper Battle Pack had really good builds. Even if they were a bit inaccurate size-wise, like, those were really good builds. And with them deciding to do, 2 droid builds and 2 clone builds, it really sort of prevented one side from having like really superior builds. And in a way, while I get they wanted to have, like an actual battle going on with clones having some stuff to fight versus droids, I almost would have preferred if they went all out with droids in this set, made like really superior droid builds, and then had the clone troopers included to fight against them. Just with the clones, clones would be alone, kind of like how the battle droids in the 501st Clone Trooper Battle Pack were just, clearly overmatched. Like, I would have liked that, and then in the next Super Battle Pack, you get someone that's more clone-based. That's personally how I would have done it. Now, like I said, I do think they could have included a STAP in the original 501st Clone Trooper Battle Pack, so maybe you still include this gun turret or a mini command station or something like that, but I just find these builds itself to be really lacking and disappointing. It's, like even this turret, like it's cool that they have these shields, and of course also like as well have the stud shooter, and in the back of the box they show you are able to detach the shields to have the clone troopers use, which we do see clones use shields, specifically during like scenes with them in riot gear, etc. on Coruscant during that one arc of the Clone Wars. But would have liked as well a nice sticker to add a Republic logo onto the shields. Personally, just a little detail like that I think would have went a long way there. But the actual builds, like I don't think they're that superior looking to what we got in 2007 personally, which is a bit disappointing. Like even the back of this turret here, just using the two clone trooper weapons, which is what you would use for the clone troopers. You would take these off and give them to the clone troopers so they would have weapons, and it just kind of comes off as lazy in a way to me. Like it just feels so barren essentially. And again, most of these battle packs normally are very, very low quality, you know, nothing to write home about with your regular battle packs. But the 2020 501st Battle Pack really set the bar for what a build in this type of set could be, and I just think they went about it the wrong way. They really should have, in my mind, prioritized the droid builds in this set, and then a couple years later, when they do another one, inevitably, as long as Clone Troopers keep being popular and selling, then you could go back and do another more clone-based build, with, again, you know, having things that the droids could fight the clones better off with, but still prioritizing one side versus the other, because I think if you're going to do these sort of battle packs, I think that's what you need to do, because otherwise these builds just aren't that great in my mind. Now there is one little crate included, which has a couple of thermal detonators. You technically only put one in, but one is an extra piece, so you get two you can put in there, they fit, so that's nice, I guess. You can give it to either side, but I guess mostly just the clone troopers, because the droids aren't able to hold them in their hands or arms, unfortunately. The LEGO Star Wars Clone Trooper and Battle Droid Battle Pack is overall a pretty good addition to the LEGO Star Wars Battle Pack lineup, and it's definitely a superior Battle Pack to what we would have gotten as a regular Battle Pack. Like, if this was just a Battle Pack alone, I might, like, yeah, you mostly only buy Battle Packs for the clones or the characters, whatever they are, whether that's Rebels, Clone Troopers, Stormtroopers, etc. But these builds here, if this was all you got in a, you know, $15 US or $20 Canadian battle pack, it would be terrible. Like, worst battle pack builds of all time, in my opinion. These builds over here with these droids, a little bit better, but definitely not the strongest builds in my mind, especially for what we could have gone with. And it's, again, I said it before, but this is probably the best build in the set, this STAP, and it's, you know, maybe 15 pieces total. So, you know, 15 out of 200 pieces of the build. You know, obviously you also have the clones and the droid parts itself, but that's a big chunk of these builds that to me just aren't that great, and a little bit disappointing, because I really feel like, based on how the 2020 501st Battle Pack was, really should have prioritized, you know, making one side clearly stronger than the other, and then in the next Battle Pack, you know, making that side stronger, you know, just going back and forth, and then over time you have a nice army, and you can really have a nice battle scene, essentially, you know, with all of your 501st speeder bikes and ATRTs, and then all your, you know, Tri-Droids and Staps and whatever the next build is, etc. Like, I feel like in the long run that might have been the better plan to do in my mind. But in the end, that's all my opinion. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this LEGO Star Wars Battle Pack. Are you guys a fan of all these builds? Am I crazy? Are you guys just going to not worry about the builds, you know, maybe combine them all into one super build? Because in the end, I think that's the better option. Like, buy this set, get the Clone Troopers, especially when it goes on discount on Amazon, at Target, etc. It will go on sale probably in the next 3 months. It always does pretty quickly after release, and then it'll stay that way at these other mediums. So keep an eye out on that if you're planning to army build the set. But then, you know, maybe find some designs on Rebrickable for some stronger models, which I normally don't care about, but in this case, like, these builds to me, like, if it's not clear already, like, I really am not a fan of the builds in this set. I'm a fan of the characters overall, even with the helmet holes for the clone troopers. Love the Return of Super Battle Droids, but the builds are just, like, you're buying the set for the characters in the set, which was always going to be the case, but in this case especially, you're buying the set for the characters. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. This has been LEGO Dynasty. Please leave a like and subscribe if you have enjoyed, and have a great day, everyone.